Now, speaking of good stuff that we've seen on the pitch, this game was a banger. The All-Ireland Senior Club Football Final of 2024/25. Cuala have won their first ever All-Ireland Club Football Championship, beating Errigal Ciarán by 3-14 to 1-16 at Croke Park. A brilliant game and a true game of two halves. Cuala, would you believe, were 14 points ahead in this game at one stage, 3-6 to a point. Errigal Ciarán roared back into the contest with Peter Hart scoring one of the best goals I've seen in Croke Park. And ultimately, it wasn't that easy for Cuala going down the home stretch, but Errigal had just left themselves a little bit too much to do. The injury, of course, to Dara Canavan definitely didn't help. But all things considered, I think Cuala are worthy winners.
100%, yeah. Like as we were saying earlier, I mean, Cuala just started the game far too fast. And I suppose Enda McGinley alluded to it in his post-match interview, kind of saying he didn't know where it went wrong and everything else. I mean, it was bizarre. Like, and I was saying it to you earlier, and even a few of the other lads as well. Like, it was mental just watching the opening 20-25 minutes. You couldn't believe your eyes, like seeing Cuala go, 3-6 to a point up. Like, I mean, in an All-Ireland club final, senior level, given that everyone expected this game, I think the odds on a draw were very, very good for this game as well.
11-2.
As you were, yeah. So like, it was mental. And to be fair, like I think with Errigal, they just, I think they were going too long on kickouts. Cuala's press was very, very strong. Errigal just they just couldn't get their hands on the ball. They kept getting turned over. And everything that went right for Cuala did go right. Everything that went wrong for Errigal Ciarán went wrong. Obviously, Dara Canavan goes off after 20 minutes. I think we're all hoping that that everything's okay, obviously, with him. And Cuala just took over, and it was cutting through them like a warm knife in butter, Like, I mean, David O'Dowd having a field day, Tom Brennan just running straight through the centre. And the mad thing is, like, probably could have, been even worse than it actually was. So it was... Yeah, it was a brilliant performance by Cuala. But you do have to credit Errigal Ciarán as well for making a game out of it in the second half, and to reduce a 14-point deficit to 3, especially in Gaelic football at club level when there's less time as well. Like, that was impressive. And look, although they didn't come back and complete the comeback, it was some effort. In fairness, so I do think they can. They'll have regrets, no doubt about it, but they can. They can leave with their heads held high.
Yeah, no, they certainly can. I think, like, as I was saying to you on your page, like, obviously I was there. I was covering the games with TG Carr, so I was there for the post-match interviews and everything. And McGinley came in, and he looked devastated. Like, he genuinely, like, he's an Errigal Ciarán man. That means more to him than, obviously, if it's just a manager from, an outside club that's come in and done a hell of a job. Like, Enda McGinley bleeds Errigal Ciarán, and that would have hurt him. And I'm sure he was kind of tempted to strip off the tracksuit top. Do I have 10 minutes in me a full forward type thing? But yeah, he was just like, I don't know why we started like that. I don't know whether it was an adrenaline dump from having the absolute euphoric, dramatic win against Dr. Crokes, whereas Cuala's was a little bit more calm against Coolera Strandhill. But it's just scrambling for reasons. But Gaelic football just is strange, and you just never really know what it's going to go. And I think Errigal came into this game well prepared. It just, Cuala got off to the mark. And what surprised me, definitely the goals obviously surprised me, but what was massively surprising to me was, like, Cuala weren't having a hand laid on them for the three of them. Mm-hmm. Like, they were relatively easy goals.
Yeah, it was very easy.
And yeah, that's what was more crazy to me. We have a couple of comments in here. Liam White here, he says, if every game of football was played like yesterday's final, then we wouldn't need the new rules. Great game. Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed that game. Mm-hmm. I absolutely enjoyed that game. And, like,
it's probably the circumstances of the game as well, though.
That you have that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's just unfortunate then that you have a game like that and then you have a stinker like a week later. Like, it was kind of like, do you remember the Cuala versus Coolera game was kind of to bring you back down to earth after the Errigal Dr. Crokes game? It's like, we have yin and yang. We literally have the good and the bad. And Yeah, so Patrick as well, he says here, Errigal Ciarán would have won if there was 10 minutes left. I do find it interesting because
Maybe. Yeah.
definitely Errigal were clawing them back. Kula got a couple of scores which just kind of just about kept them ahead. And the thing was is that they got them at critical times. But that start was massively important to kicking them on. And I do believe, look, going down the home stretch, Kula probably still would have found a couple of points to win because on top of that, Errigal were riding off momentum and they were running off like the power that goal from Peter Hart gave them, and then the follow-up point gave them, and every single score was like another boost. But when Luke Keating got that point and when Peter Duffy got his point, it was like you could feel the energy being sapped a little bit, like, okay, steadied, we're back here now. A couple more comments in here. Love to see it, guys. Keep them coming. He says, Seamus, when are you doing Allianz League predictions? This week, we're doing it Wednesday evening. So tune in for that. I just need to assemble the crew, see what everybody is up to. Aaron, you're more than welcome to jump on if you are still alive. Obviously, after your three podcasts back to back.
Absolutely, yeah. If I'm still in one piece, absolutely.
Let's be honest, man. That podcast on your channel feels like yesterday now. I know. Feels like a long time ago.
I know. I think the missus is nearly getting worried there. What's going on?
Kevin Ruddick here says, was at the hurling final in 2017. I never thought after those two club hurling titles, I would see another cooler team win another club championship. And Kevin, thank you very much because you've led me on beautifully to that achievement. And obviously we have to talk about King Con O'Callaghan, who wins the All-Ireland Club Football Championship. He has the All-Ireland Club Hurling Championship twice. He also has all of his accolades at under 21, at minor, at college, and then just the 7 All-Irelands or 6 All-Irelands with Dublin. I mean, this guy, as you said in your title, Gaelic football, he's completed, mate. GAA, he's completed, mate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, like it's, and as I said, like he's 29 in April. And I was, was doing some research on him earlier, and obviously, it's not, that isn't just a fact that I have in my head. Like I did see that earlier. So yeah, like because I just wanted to check the age of him again. I think he's 31, he's 32. No, he's not even 30 yet. Which is crazy. And yeah, like what he's achieved, as you said, 6 All-Irelands, 9 Leinster titles as well. Let's not forget that. 3 national football leagues.
Most of the counties in the competition.
Yeah, and obviously he's probably going to win a few more as
well.
He
hasn't lost a Leinster match.
He hasn't. No, he hasn't. No, and yeah, 3 national football leagues as well. Yeah, like an extraordinary. And then obviously the All-Irelands at club level, I think, are the ones which, like the Dublin ones, obviously are very, very impressive. But to do it with your club in both codes, like I think he like only one of the, I can't think of who it was now off the top of my head, but there was a few players, I think, with Finbars maybe, who did it. He won titles with both football and hurling, but he's in an elusive club. And to do it twice in hurling, once in football. And look, who's to say he doesn't go and do it again? It's what dreams are made of, really. And he is one of them players that could genuinely do another Brian Fenton in a year, because he's literally done it all. Like he's nothing more to achieve.
Yeah, like I think when you looked at the Brian Fenton retirement, the one thing that didn't necessarily surprise me was, it doesn't surprise me that Brian walked away the year that Dublin got knocked out at the quarterfinal. I think if you look at Brian Fenton when he broke in, he was 22 years of age in 2015. His entire summers since 2015 have completely revolved around playing for Dublin. And I'd say he's missed a lot of holidays. I'd say he's missed a ton of nights out. I'd say he's missed a lot of beer to play for the Dublin team. And I'd say he got that time off. And I'd say he was a little bit like, I think I could do with some of this. And you have to understand as well that when you're Brian Fenton, every single match you go into, you have somebody who's going to be picked to mark you, somebody who's going to be picked to watch your every move. That on its own can be exhausting. Every team you go into, you're very much expected to be the leader, to be the main voice in the dressing room, whether you're playing for Raheny, whether you're playing for college, whether you're playing for Dublin. Like, you're expected to be the main voice in the dressing room. I think one thing that I always find interesting, especially now, is we never got to see Brian Fenton play like Aussie rules football, like against Australia. I think like you look at Ireland's kind of batch of players now, like Fenton, Glass, David Clifford, Shane Walsh. Like I'm like I'd be very Reno O'Neill. Like I'd be very interested to see how we get on now, because obviously we have a ton of hugely athletic players that have never really got that opportunity. But jumping back into the game, so Errigal, I expected a bite back, and it came immediately. Like the throw in, Errigal won it, and Peter Hart slots it over the bar. Then on top of that, couple more scores, and then the goal from Peter Hart, which caused Brian Tyres on commentary to hit a pitch that I don't think he's ever hit in his life in terms of his voice. It was just an outrageous finish. One of the best goals we've ever seen in Croke Park, and that shot a lightning rod into Errigal's comeback.
It did, yeah. It just made everyone stand up and be like, "Whoa!" Like, you know, it was an absolute sucker punch for Cuala to take.
When you're in the stadium, it was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh yeah, because they tagged a few points on before that, and it was just like, although there was a roar from the Errigal Ciarán fans, it felt like, you know, all right, we're scoring a couple of points, we're making the scoreline respectable. But then when that goal goes in, it's like, right, this is on. And I think they kick, you know, a couple of points after that as well, and you see the reaction from some of the players. Yeah, an extraordinary goal. Like I have seen some people suggest that he didn't go for it or he didn't mean it. I think, you know, why be a Debbie Downer on it? Like why can't we just appreciate it? Why do we always have to look for they're the type of
people that go up to kids and tell them Santa isn't real?
Yeah, like come on, like can we not just enjoy a brilliant goal? And to be honest,
this is fake.
Yeah, literally, like you know, some crack at parties and all, all this crack. But yeah, I think like the power he got on it, I don't think he hit the ball. Like I'm only thinking from when I played, you know what I mean, and we, you know, which, and don't get me wrong, I never had and I can never score goals like that. But when you get power on it, you're obviously going for the goal. Do you know what I mean? I mean that's, you know, there are times when you do get power and you try to get that bend on the effort. But for me, it looked like he was, you know, he was going for the goal there. Or maybe, you know, hitting a high and worst case scenario goes over the bar. You know what I mean? So no,
for me,
I think he'd mean it.
For me, he went for it because if you look at the like the way his foot is shaped, even like it's a punt kick, like he's pointed his toe and he's kicking it low. Like if you're Peter Hart in that situation, you want to get a point. You're not kicking it with the point of your toe. You're kicking it either with the outside of the boot and trying to swerve it over like that, or you're kicking it with the instep over the bar from there. I think he 100% meant it because he was playing with bad intentions from when that second half started, and he played with a grit and a determination that he doesn't get credit for. Like he is such a good player, Peter Hart, and in my opinion, he showed just how good he was in that final. Patrick McDonough says here something that will cheer us up. He said Fenton will play for Dublin again. Don't worry. I certainly hope he does. I
think he might make a stab at it. He might, you know, he has maybe in a couple of years. Like we've seen Mannion come back, we've seen McCaffrey come back. You know, Fenton is still only, I think, 30 years of age, so he does have, you know, I definitely think we could see him back in the next couple of years.
I think 31. I think he'll come back when he's 33. If I had to predict,
I think 2 years out, maybe. Yeah,
I think he'll get time to see how much he loves it, and then he'll come back to it. I think it might be like a Stephen Cluxton where he just appears, knowing the way that Dublin do things. Like you won't, you won't know about it.
There he is against Wexford in a Leinster final.
Although it would be a little bit harder to conceal him. It'd be a little bit harder to hide him. It's not like he's 6'5" or anything. I remember I seen him walking. I think this was at Electric Picnic. This was last year. I seen him walking, but he had like a bucket hat on, and I remember being like, even with the bucket hat, I can tell that's Brian Fenton. You know what I mean? No, like he's a huge bloke. But I'd be buzzing to see him now coming back. Hopefully someday. Hopefully he does come back someday. Yeah. So Errigal roared back in that goal from Peter Hart. They're right back in the contest, and going down the home stretch. It did feel like, when I was saying this to you on your show, I was like, when it was 5 points in it, when there was 6 points in it, I was thinking, you know what, if Eric will kick a ball into the box here and it breaks funny and Joe Goose gets his foot to it or something, and all of a sudden it's in. All of a sudden I'm like, do you know what? I actually back Errigal to win this now if they were to get another goal, because you have to remember Cuala being in that position. They'd never been there before in the football. Con had been there in the hurling, yes, but the rest of them hadn't. Mick Fitzsimons, yes, he has tons of experience playing for Dublin, but the club championship, again, it is a different ball game. It's mad things happen in the club championship, and I feel like if a second goal had gone in for Errigal, like McDonough there saying, if there was 10 minutes left, if Errigal had got a second goal, I would have fancied them to win it. However, Cuala, in the last quarter, and I have to give them the credit here, came up with some big scores. Luke Keating's point in particular I thought was very important, and Peter Duffy's as well. And even the way that they hung on to the ball, I hate it, but you have to do it in those situations. You know me, I hate possession football, but they had to do it. And I thought they managed the game very, very well. And they struck at critical times in order to get over the line.
Yeah, no, they did. And there probably was an element of a little bit of experience there from, your Mick Fitzes and Patrick Byrne and whatnot, to kind of slow it down, Con as well. But yeah, no, it definitely felt like it was there, and it was a moment as well where I think Cuala had a free. I can't remember who kicked it, but it hit the post, and then it just bounced. It stayed in play, and then Errigal won it back, and that was to put Cuala 4 up. At that stage, and then it was still 3, and you were thinking, right, Errigal have possession here.
I thought if they go down and score, like that hit the post would be written in the stars.
Absolutely, and they were racing forward, and then Con gets a momentous block on one of the Errigal Ciarán substitutes who came on, in and around, close to his own goal, closer to his own goal than anything, which is incredible to see from your number 15. Whether we'll see that in the new rules now, because he'll have to be left up, and we'll wait and see. But yeah, no, it was, and in fairness to Cuala, look, they did the job. As we were saying, it went from a 14-point lead to a 6-point lead with 20 minutes to go, and I was worried for them, I thought, to be honest, and you were just worried. A 14-point lead, it just, it's the type of thing that people never forget, losing a 14-point lead. And even though it's not my club necessarily, but you want to see Dublin clubs win the All-Ireland finals, in my opinion anyway. But look, they hung on, they got the job done, and yeah, champions.
Yeah, no, and they certainly deserve it. And I mean, it's an incredible achievement for Cuala to win. And just on a personal note for one player, the captain, James Power. I mean, he's been playing. He popped into the post-match press conference, and he said he made his debut for the Cuala seniors in 2004. So wow. He's been this is something a lot of people down that aren't close to Cuala, I feel would look and be like Dalkey, rich club, all that. Cuala have been on a journey, and there was a long time where they could not get up to senior for the life of them, and there were a lot of things that were kind of happening that were blocking them. There was one year where they actually did win and they were getting promoted. Then the pandemic hit and there was no promotion, no relegation. And he was saying even there in the post-match that was a real kick in the teeth for someone like him who was in his 30s now. That's a year basically that was irrelevant. You didn't go up even though you won. And when they made it up, to beat Kilmacud Crokes in the final and then to manage the favourites tag the entire way through, they've been brilliant. And the colour and the atmosphere that they have brought to the club championship, booking the darts to the games and everything. I've really, really enjoyed them in the club championship. They've been a real boost of energy to the whole thing. And yeah, I like Austin O'Malley as well. Seems like an absolute gentleman. All their players speak Irish as well. So it's a great interview whenever they come up. And Cuala, worthy champions in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, with Austin O'Malley, like shout out to him as well. A Mayo man leading a Dublin club to an All Ireland, as we were saying earlier on my show. And look, who knows? You know, with Kevin McStay, third year, maybe Austin might be the next man to come in there for Mayo. I kind of like.
Certainly agrees.
Yeah, I kind of like that little scan of the cameras as well at full time. And then the celebration and everything else. I think we need.
It's iconic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we need a bit more of that. You know, we need some more characters in the GAA. In fairness, and yeah, no, fair play to him. Like, it's an incredible achievement, as you said. You know, I do remember them being stuck at senior 2, or senior 1 for a long time, and it was one of them where you kind of looked at it and you thought that you always knew they'd good enough players to get up to senior level. You knew they were good enough to get up to the senior championship. And I remember watching them against Crokes a couple of years ago. I think it was 22. And they were very, very close to beating them. It was like a Dublin quarter final. I remember that game was on RTE. And you were thinking, like, they definitely have the tools to maybe be an outside bet to win Dublin. But it's one thing being an outside bet. It's another thing actually going and doing it. So, phenomenal achievement. And, incredible story.
Certainly. And look, my big congratulations to everybody involved in Cuala. I actually have family in Cuala, believe it or not. I don't know if I've ever told you that. My second cousins at Cuala. So not exactly, super tied to Cuala, but I'm a little bit happy for them, I can't lie.